When you get sick, sometimes your doctor prescribes you a drug. This drug was developed by researchers at drug companies, manufactured, then distributed at pharmacies to help you get better. The process seems simple enough, but there's a lot of money baked into each step of bringing a new drug to market. Drug makers want to recoup their costs, hence the high sticker price of most new treatments. Paying out of pocket for these costs would be really financially disruptive, if not impossible, for most people, which is where health insurance comes in. Health insurance works by spreading risk. A lot of people pitch in money, aka pay a premium, every year on a bet that they will get sick and need healthcare, and hopefully most will not. Most health insurance plans provide coverage for some prescription drugs, so if you have a plan, you'll most likely pay less than the list price. So you pay for your health insurance to help you out with paying for the drug, and you pay for whatever health insurance doesn't cover. This is technically not so different from the way that you can get prescription drugs in other countries, many of which also use some form of cost sharing. So what makes prescription drugs so much more expensive in the US? One big factor might be pharmacy benefit managers, which only exist in the United States.
We have excellent health insurance. The best.
PBMs are the middlemen between the drug makers, insurers, and pharmacies. In the 1960s, insurance companies started to offer prescription drug coverage to their members. Soon after, PBMs arrived on the scene to help insurers manage the administration of these prescription drug claims. And because PBMs do a lot of admin stuff for a lot of hospitals, insurers, and drug makers, they wield a lot of influence on the cost of drugs. One of the ways PBMs influence drug cost is by creating formularies. A formulary is a list of drugs an insurance company will cover. These lists are tiered, typically with cheaper drugs in tiers 1 and 2 and more expensive drugs in tiers 3 and 4. If two different drugs pretty much work the same, insurance companies will likely put the cheaper drug on the lower tier. Insurance covers more of the cost of the lower tier drugs, and thus consumers pay less for them. Drug makers want their medicines in tiers 1 or 2. Because they're available to the most patients, they'll make the most sales. But how do they get their drugs in these tiers? They can offer the PBM a rebate or money back on a drug, which makes the drug cheaper for the insurance plan and moves it up on the formulary. So whenever a patient buys a drug in the top tiers, the PBM gets a rebate. The more expensive the list price of the drug, the higher the PBM's rebate tends to be. There are two lines of thought here. On one hand, because PBMs have a lot of purchasing power, they work with hospitals and insurers, they have a lot of people they can negotiate with, they can negotiate better prices for certain drugs for everybody. On the other hand, there's not a lot of transparency in the relationship between drug makers and PBMs, so we often don't know how much the actual rebates are. So if a drug maker offers a rebate to PBMs to lower the cost of a drug, aka raising it up on the formulary, we don't know how much of the rebate goes towards lowering the cost of the drug for the consumer. The PBM could be pocketing a higher amount of the rebate, and if drug makers have to offer rebates to PBMs to push their drugs up higher on the formulary, sometimes they have to raise the list price of their drugs to help cover the rebates. So let's bring it all back. Drugs cost a lot of money to make, health insurance costs money. Even if you have insurance, if your drug is not covered by your plan, the cost you pay goes up. And if you don't have insurance, your drug might be available as a low-cost generic, but for many brand name drugs, you might have to pay the list price. On top of all that, there's this complex formulary ranking system managed by PBMs that's pushing higher overall list prices for drugs, and it might be one clue why the cost of prescription drugs is so high for consumers today. But there's yet another side of this story, and it starts back at the beginning with the drug makers. In the next video, we'll talk about the role of patents in prescription drug costs.